Helen of Four Gates by Ethel Carnie. Chapter 4. Martin comes back from hell. Martin had come back from hell. He was asleep beside a pool on the heights of Cowle's moor. Through the windy, starry night he slept, the moor sounds all about him, black shadows of sheep passing through the dimness, the little pool at his side shaped like a cradle, and tumble full of stars. He was asleep now. Gethsemane was over for a spell. Sometimes he half woke, a faint sorrow touching him, a sorrow for Helen's waiting. Then sleep seized him again. Once he dreamed that he was a little lad again, running over brown moss with naked feet, watching a hawk. The dream changed, the loneliness of that boyish time merging into one of more awful horror. Helen was dead. He tried to cry out. He struggled to shout, to beat down the very gates of death to reach her. Agony turned round and round in his heart, a burning knife, and then he sat up, his eyes open, bewildered by the sight of the cobblestones sticking up through the dawn. A world empty of Helen still crushed him with its barren weight. He stared up at the cobblestones, rubbing his eyes. Then he remembered how he had got near those familiar shapes, jutting up into the blue and rosy sheen of dawn. It was only a dream. The whir of moorfowl's wings made a wind on his back. He heard the startled "Gaback, gaback, gaback" back from a cloud of grouse, whilst away before him rolled a valley of opal mist shot through with the golden fires of a day that yet held a living Helen. Fool! He had been thinking not many hours before of ships and the sea, ships that carry men away from problems they cannot face, flying, eager ships that carry men into lands so far away that there they can start anew. Then the gods sent a dream of a dead Helen. The sweat of agony was on his brow, his resolves were gone. Shakily the strong man rose to his feet. Self-contempt was in his heart. He steered his way across the dew-drenched bents, over the earth-bobs green enough for fairy thrones, across the coarse grey grasses and fine rusty-tinted ones hiding water-holes, some of them man-deep. He was going back to Four Gates, and no nearer the solution of his problem than when he had climbed those heights, vowing never to come down till he had solved it. He wanted to look at Helen with the others there, to let reality blunt that dream, until she had no advantage to reap from his secret recollection of it. She was strong enough in her conscience-less pursuit that ran him down without shame, because her love was as shamelessly pure as the water seeking its own level. For an hour Martin walked on across the moor. There was something monotonously soothing in the steady march forward, from earth-bob to earth-bob, through the tangled grass and whitened rushes, pressing the bents down over the water-holes with his boots, and hearing the sucking sound following his footsteps. He came to the edge of the moor. Another valley lay below him. Leading down to it was a steep path that ran through a world of fresh, uncurling bracken fronds. They clung about his feet. There was nothing to be heard but the cold tinkle of a northern rill, or the movement of little moor creatures scurrying away from Martin's feet. Once he almost stepped upon a tawny-backed frog. It seemed a world without problems. It seemed that he might put his problem by here in this world of bracken and sky. Something of the morning gladness stole into his mind, and at the back of his mind, with every step, he was foolishly, deliriously glad that Helen was alive. Then the gods made him again their sport, flinging him from mood to mood. He heard a foolish, pealing laugh that brought him to a standstill. He looked all round, but only the waving bracken ranks met his gaze. Yet the sound was that he had heard once in the silence of the night. Shh! The wind went through the bracken. He watched the swaying sappy stalks, the nodding tops uncurling to the sun. Then, in a flash, he caught sight of a great head with a shock of thatch-like hair, a pair of vacant eyes, and a slobbery animal mouth. The face leered on him from a break in the foliage. He knew that face. He was looking at the idiot son of a poor widow down in the valley below. Silas was lying down in the bracken. Martin knew that he should pass the cottage door of the widow, but he did not call to Silas to go down with him. A dull rage against the gods took possession of him. He left the hill world, taking the sheep track hard and stony, but for a long time he heard that mirthless laugh ringing after him. As he touched the road that was made by man, he paused and looked up at the hill. It was now a wonderful cloud of grey patched with moss green where the bracken was, tinged with yellow where the bare clay was piled. His jaw was gripped. His eyes had the look the tramp had noticed in the inn, as if some crater in his soul were opened. He was thinking of that old young face with the something missing behind it. God, he mumbled from between half-clenched teeth, what man could risk it? And Helen. Then he went on with bent head, amazed at the conscienceless way of women. He almost stumbled upon a pair of rabbits that scurried through the briar hedge. They were happy in their world, happy and without conscience, even as Helen. Martin, world-bound, was trying to think.